everybody. I'm finally back out again on a new e-bike ride, and today is going to be a little bit of a emotional trip for me. We're going out to where my roots began, my grandfather's farm. I always try to have a different bike ride, a different trail, a different road, a different park, something. I don't like to make videos of the same old route, time after time after time. Well, today I'm able to kind of kill two birds with one stone. I wanted to show you where my family started, and this is what you call country living. We've got a bulldozer here beside me. Looks like they're putting up a new building, which doesn't happen out here very often. But yeah, this is the road out to my grandparents' house. I was invited to a little get-together, family get-together picnic on my other side of the family, just not too far from here. And I thought this would be a good opportunity to get out and kind of kill two birds with one stone. I can go out and visit some family. I thought I'd get a bike ride in while I was over here. I was talking to my dad not long ago, and he asked me if I had done a ride out to the farm, and I said, well, no, I really hadn't thought about it. So this video is kind of for my dad. This will kind of show you what West Virginia living in the country is all about. The paved road that I just came off of is probably about an hour from the nearest interstate. And my grandpa's house, or farm, is about, 2.5 to 3 miles out this dirt road. And this is almost kind of like a driveway for him to his house. There's only a couple people that live out here. When I was growing up, there were about 3 people that lived out this road. And since then, there's been a couple people that bought property and built some houses. But I wanted to show you just what actually living in the country is all about. And I've never ridden out through here in a bike, so this will be interesting. It's a gravel road. Some of it is kind of fine, some of it is a little bit bigger, but that's a good thing about having a fat tire e-bike or a fat tire bike in any situation, is it makes it a little bit easier to ride on roads like this. I don't think I'd want to come out through here with a little 10 speed or something like that. So yeah, this is interesting. This hill right here is very steep. I remember when I was a kid, there's a curve down here, so you couldn't get much of a run. In the wintertime, you kind of started out from zero at the bottom, and you'd try to get to the top of that. I remember one time my dad had a front-wheel drive Honda Accord, and in the back seat was my 2 sisters, my brother, and me. And we started up that hill right there and couldn't quite make it, so my brother and I had to get out and push while Dad spun the tires. We finally got up out of there. But the road is in a lot better shape nowadays than it was back then. Most of these gates go up to hunting spots. Not too many houses out through here. Here's another gate. Goes out to a hunting spot, a hunting blind, hunting cabin. Here's another really steep hill. If you're not too careful, you'll kind of get out of control on these hills. But they're not horribly bad. I doubt we'll even meet a car on this road because there's so few people that live out here. I actually drove in, and here we start with some deeper gravel, some thicker gravel. But they've got the ditches dug out pretty good now. This road, when I was a kid, used to wash out all the time. There'd be pits in it, and it would wash away in spots. It was pretty rough, driving out through here. Back then, not too many people had pickup trucks or anything like that, so you'd be in a car dragging out through here. Back then, in the 70s, they didn't really, not everybody had a truck or a high clearance vehicle. So, yeah, this is beautiful country out through here, but it is the country. Not to be confused with the suburbs country. This is country. And I'm talking out in the woods. Got a little bit of a clearing here. Kind of see the mountains off in the distance there. Here's another hill I have to be careful with. This hill we usually could make up in the wintertime because there's a nice little long run you could get for it. You can kind of see down there. There we go. There's a road somebody put in. I've got the small little house or something up there on the hill. But like I said, there's only about 3 original houses out through here. My grandparents was one of them. So you rarely met a car. The problem with this, if you can tell, there's not a whole lot of there's not a whole lot of berm. You've got ditches there. So if you meet a vehicle, one of you has to back up. So one of the things my grandpa taught my uncles was how to back up first before they even let them drive straight, because you've got to be able to back up out here. Very few places to turn off, but you kind of have to remember when you pass a cutout, so that if you meet a car, you'll know how far you've got to back and where you can turn around. Here's a couple of them. They just go up onto a farm. There's no houses up there. But this really brings me back. It's kind of an emotional ride. Kind of doing this for myself and my dad, like I said. I hadn't thought about riding out through here, but my dad rarely gets to come out here. I haven't been out here to the farm in at least 2 or 3 years. And both of my grandparents passed within, I don't know, 3 or 4 months of each other. And that was back in the mid-90s. So it's been 25 years or so since anybody has lived at the farm. So once we get there, you'll kind of tell that it's not been kept up too much. I have a cousin that lives not far from here. I think he puts up hay in the hay fields and kind of keeps it cut, the grass cut a little bit around the house, but it's just too much property for him to manage, along with other property that they have. And the old house is getting pretty decrepit, but we'll get to that in a little bit. Yeah, all this stuff, my fondest memories are coming out here, are coming out to hunt. Up here is Mount Zion Church. Let me go up here and show you. This is one of the original, and this is a very steep hill. Here down just a little bit. This is one of those original one-room churches that I grew up going to whenever we would come and visit. We moved away from here when I was about 2 years old to the city, and I've kind of been a city boy ever since, except for when I would come on the summers to help in the hay fields or come during holidays, Thanksgiving, to hunt. Yeah, here's the church. So the tall part, so here we are at the church. Mount Zion Church. There's the cemetery that my dad's side of my family is on. But that tall part was the original church. The two ends have been built on. I remember when I was just a little kid back in the early 70s, they actually thought there were big goings on whenever they built a two-roomed outhouse out here in the back. and it's gone. It used to sit back here kind of in the corner, but they've actually built on since I've been here. They used to just kind of had a little foyer, but they've built this whole wing on. Looks like they've put central air in. That's nice. I remember the middle of it just had a wood burning stove in the middle of the church, right in the aisle. Somebody would have to come at 4 or 5 in the morning, start up the furnace so that we wouldn't freeze to death when we'd come in here during the wintertime. I would say they probably keep it locked. Used to be you could just walk up and come in this church anytime you wanted to, back in the old days, but let's see if they lock it. Probably so. Oh, no. Let's take a look. Yeah, so they've put wow, they've got bathrooms with running water here. Men and women. Yeah, they're trusting down here. They leave doors unlocked. But the foyer used to be right here, and then you would just walk right in. And this was the little one-room church. Used to be a wood-burning stove right there in the middle. And then the chimney went right up through that little square up in the ceiling. You can see it there. But yeah, this was it. This is all that the church was. They've built on back here in the back. I don't think they'd mind if I walk through. Okay, they put little classrooms back here, it looks like. Yeah. And then they've got a basement. When they were building this basement, we used rock from my grandpa's farm right down the road. I remember going, well, you know, my dad and his brothers. My dad had 4 brothers. There were 5 boys. But you know, they had to clear their land, and they would pick up all the rock out of the fields and just make rock piles around on the farm. There's the rope for the bell up top. Man, this place has really changed since I've been here last. But leave the door open. Okay, that goes down into the basement that way too. Yeah. This is really nice. Done a good job on this place. It's amazing, you know, how much it's changed since I was a kid. I'll go back out. It really brings back memories. You'd see the cars lined up all along back here in this back lot. My brother and I used to walk out from the farmhouse, and sometimes we'd walk up through there, do a little deer hunting. We got to see a couple bucks actually fighting. We were out here back then you could harvest does on the last Saturday of deer gun season. And we were coming up here doe hunting, and wouldn't you know, we find two big old bucks up here fighting, so we couldn't touch them. But anyway, this was the carpenter's farm. I assume it's still part of his, but I'm not 100% sure. If you look at these fence posts, if it's showing up, there's purple paint on the top of the fence posts. That purple paint in West Virginia is the same thing as saying no hunting. So, I don't know if that still belongs to the same guy that I knew had it, but he used to not post his property, so that makes me wonder if that's somebody new. But anyway, this is the old church. I'm going to stop up and pay my respects. I'll be right back with you. All right, so I'm back. Paid my respects to my grandparents and a couple of my uncles. I mentioned before that my dad was one of 5 brothers. 2 of my uncles have passed, actually before my grandparents. One of my uncles was 3 years old. He had some kind of a disease. I'm still not sure if they even know what it was, but it was back in the 40s. I think he was born in 46 and died in 49. And he was 3 years old. My Uncle Ray, he was the youngest. Passed away, I think in 93. He was only about 31 years old or so. Died from a brain aneurysm, which was very shocking because he was a lumberjack. Very, very good shape. But you just never know. Anyway, on we go. So that was the church. I like to stop up there and see my family's graves every once when I come in. But we'll go back out to the house. I'll show you how close the house is to the church. Here's another road that goes out. It connects back up with the same road that we came in on. So as I was saying, right around the next couple curves here, we'll be at the farmhouse. It's really grown up. Usually you could see the house, everything was just manicured really nicely. Had a huge garden. You could just tell it was lively and a happy place. And now it's all grown up. You can't see much. But get a little bit of emotional whenever I come back. Just remembering what it used to look like when I was a kid. Over here would have been the first family out this road when I was a kid, the Carpenters. That goes down to their farm. And they would have normally been the first people that you would have come to out this long road. My grandparents would be the second. And then we had another house another mile up the road or something. Nobody lives there now, but they were alive and well when I was a kid, and they were about the only 3 people that lived on this road until just a short 10 or so, 15 years ago. A couple people have moved back here. Oh, we're finally going to meet a truck. FedEx guy, that's crazy. Not sure why he'd be coming out in this direction. You know, I've seen mailmen come out through here, and it's usually the rural ones with the Jeeps, you know. I've never in my life seen a FedEx truck come out through here. I mean, he's come from, I don't know, 4 or 5 miles out this road to get this far, and there's no houses along all that. If you keep going out this road, it ends up coming out onto the paved road again. My cousin lives way out there, but man, that's kind of a long way around to come. But anyway, so this is the farm. It actually starts right here. My Uncle Ray and my dad and my other uncles, they actually built a little, sort of like an A-frame house over there. You can barely see it for the trees. Everything's grown up, but of course, I don't think anyone lives there now. My Aunt May still stay there some. But all this is grown up. You used to be able to see, you know, the house, the barn, chicken coop, pig pen, garden, and all that stuff. But can't see it anymore. At least with the leaves on. So we're coming down the home stretch here. Yep. And there's the old house. Gate to the barn right there. The garden was right here on my right. So yeah, this was the farmhouse. This house was built back in the 1800s. It's a shell of itself now. It used to have a nice cellar right there. And boy, in the hot summertime, you could go in there, and it's got a little spring that runs through the back. They have a little cutout made of cement. The water would run right through there, and it would fill up. It comes out of the hill, out of the mountain. It came right through that thing, which kept it so cool. And then it goes out into an actual spring where you could open a door and dip water out, and that's where their water came from. But this house was built back in the 1800s. I believe my grandpa's dad, my great-grandfather, lived in this house. But it's been kind of gutted out. You know, the insides have been torn out. The siding has been taken off. This is probably original wood siding. It used to have aluminum siding. I believe my uncle may have taken it off and scrapped it, or someone. But you can see the foundation is made of rock. So that's a sign of the early days. Of course, they had to put up metal netting because little critters would get up and under the house. But yeah, they raised 5 boys in this house. They had the granary, kept all the feed for the hogs and the chickens and stuff out there. Excuse me. A chicken coop behind that tree. This used to be a beautiful garden. This whole area was garden. And now it's just weeds. And then on back there is a barn. Yeah, back there's the barn. I think my cousin still uses that to store hay in for his cattle. But, so yeah, the farm is all the way back there where the trees start, all the way up through here, and it actually goes up on the hill and opens up into 3 big fields up on top of the hill, kind of plateaus out. But, yeah. So Dad, here's your video. Yeah, it looks different than it did, that's for sure. A lot different. I see Joe has probably been back in here, my cousin, kind of knocked this grass down a little bit so we could get in here and park. But anyway, hope everybody enjoyed the video. If you're still hanging around, those of you that watch all my videos know that, you know, I like talking about the state. I like to try to make new videos and not the same old regurgitated going out the same bike trail type videos. And I like to talk a little bit and talk to everybody. I get some comments sometimes where people are telling me to get to the point, so sometimes it makes me double think, you know, how much I talk. But you know, I think I'm just going to stick with what works for me, and I do this because I enjoy it. I enjoy getting out, looking around on my bike, and sharing with everyone. I love reading comments. Leave me a comment, leave me a like, subscribe to the channel if you like these types of videos, and I'm going to try to get out more. I know I keep saying that, but I'm going to tell you, most everybody that's watching these videos know the weather's been crazy this summer. I mean, it's either been drought, over 100 degrees. Here we have really, really high humidity. You can walk out in 60-degree weather and start sweating sometimes. Or it's nice like this during the day whenever I'm working, and I work from home, but you know, I'm working. And boy, once time for me to log off and stop work comes, here comes the daggone rain clouds, and I get rained out. It also makes it hard to get too much farther away from the house, because I don't want to drive, you know, an hour away from the house and get caught in a huge rainstorm. And they just all summer been popping up all over the place. You know, it could be like this one minute, next minute it pops up a huge thunderstorm. So it's been really hard to schedule these things. So this was one of the first days that I was able to get out and do this. I promised everybody I'm going to try to do it a lot more, but you know, it depends on the weather. I also have a family that I got to take care of and do things with, so sometimes when we get a nice day, I still can't get out on my bike because we've got family stuff to do, like I do today. But I was thankfully able to get this in and do a family thing. So as you notice, Lisa's not with me today. Brooke had a slumber party, and she had 3 or 4 of her girlfriends come over, and so my house got taken over by the women. So Lisa's back there with them this morning, and I decided to get away a little bit, take a ride, relax, go out and see some family for a few hours today. So again, thanks for sticking with me. If you've made it this far, Like, subscribe, share these videos with your friends if you think they might like these types of videos. I'll try to get out more. Leave me a comment. Give me some suggestions what you'd like me to see. Do you mind me going over the same trails here and there? Would you prefer I just hold off until I can get a new one like this? Let me know. I actually was riding my rattan today, rattan, however you pronounce it, 750 volt. I know this thing right here will take me up pretty much any hill that I want. The electrics kind of scare me. If it gets too steep, all of you know I'm a big guy, you know, right around 300 pounds. That 500 watt motor, it takes me up most mountains, but here in West Virginia, sometimes you'll hit some rogue hills that it makes it tough on you. My last video had a couple steep hills and barely made them up there. I think I have had to push the electric one or two times since I've had it, and I've had it for a couple years now. I've never had to even think about pushing this rattan. That 750 watt motor, I think, is a sweet spot for people over, I don't know, 250 or 260. I'd go with the 750. I really wish electric would make a bike with a 750 watt motor. If they did, I'd buy another one tomorrow, because that's how much I love the electric bikes. But this rattan, I just know that it's got the power. But anyway, thanks a lot again. Until next time, hopefully it's not too long. Enjoy the rest of your day. God bless. And I will see you on the next video.